guys, it's Minister Vihil from Sheepdogs Union. This is the second half of the report for August, September. On our last video, we were explaining that there was going to be a rally in Sacramento. Pastor Jack Hibbs was going to be there. It was led by him and other people. Well, today we have highlights of that rally that took place. It was in Sacramento, California. It was called Defend Faith and Family Rally. Now, there was a host of guests there, speakers. You had politicians, senators. You had pastors. And you also had attorneys from defense organizations like Alliance Defending Freedom and Pacific Justice Institute. Brad Dacus, he's been on our show. And Jonathan Keller from California Family Council. They spoke. Now, the whole thing was emceed or narrated or where people were introduced by none other than Gina Gleason from Real Impact. She's a friend of ours and inspiration. Check out the clip or check this the highlights out.
Hello everyone, my name is Gina Gleason. I'm with Real Impact and I'm so glad that you are here.
That means you have to say about what they do with your decision. It's you. This is a representative form of government, which means our laws say we're the ones that send our opinions, our decisions through really an ambassador, an assembly individual, maybe a state senator, and they are to argue that belief of yours. They're to listen to you. They are not to be elected by you and then promote their own passions and their own desires. That's not the government of this United States, nor the government of California. This is a very critical time. We believe we're praying. By the way, let me just spell a rumor. I've had so many people ask me, and they either, maybe somebody edited my announcement on this, but I know what I said. And when I publicly announced this bill several weeks ago, I did not say that I was leaving California. I did not say that. I've always said I'm not leaving California, and I'm not leaving California. Here's what I said. I said, if you have children in this state, and if Newsom signs this, you need to get out of the state.
That's right.
You need to protect your child, because look, as a pastor, do we want pastors in the crowd? Do we want our churches to grow? Of course we do. It didn't excite me to say to our congregation, hey, if he passes it, you got to go. But what trumps anything and everything about this is the innocence of our children.
That's right.
I don't care if our church goes down from 10,000 to 10. That's God's problem. It's our responsibility to defend our children.
We need to all care about the intent of AB 495. The intent is to make sure in a deportation or a circumstance where a parent will not show up to collect their child, we should all care about that. But the language is very vague, and it creates a possibility, it really does, that our children, by a self-certification affidavit, an individual can go to that school, list their name. I mean, we have the specifics right here. It's items 1 through 4, the name of the minor, the date of birth of the minor, the name of the adult claiming to be a caregiver, and their home address, and then they can have access to that child's ability to have dental care, medical care, and be a caregiver in place of the parent without the parent's consent. That is unacceptable and wrong. And all of you being here today to stand with Pastor Jack Hibbs when he put out that call is a testament of all over the state of California that parents care about this issue.
AB 495 is a genuine threat to the health of our culture and our society. Listen, we know that bad laws matter, that bad ideas lead to bad consequences, and my friends, AB 495 is a bad idea.
Yes.
At Alliance Defending Freedom, we are here to stand with you for your right to free speech, your right to religious liberty, your God-given right to train up your child in the way that they should go.
Yes.
But with increasing frequency, your right as California families to train your child, it's under attack, it's under assault, and AB 495 is the latest threat to come after your families and your children.
Right now we have 280 cases in active litigation, all without charge,
to go to bat for you and the parents of California especially. Politics matters because policy matters. And policy matters because people matter. So don't ever let anybody tell you that you're being too political. Don't let anybody ever tell you your church is being too political. Politics matters.
After seeing that, when that trumpet horn or when that bullhorn or better yet, ram's horn is blown, that's the time that it's wartime. So pastors, consider next time being there present, representing the church that you have. So, and a lot of times at these rallies, this is a starting point. This is where grassroots efforts are started. This is where connections are made, and you're dealing directly with the Capitol. So Newsom can feel you, okay? Even if we lose, at least we went down fighting. DSA, that is the Democratic Socialist Association, I believe, but it's actually Democratic Socialist Party. Now you have Bernie Sanders, you have AOC, but the most infamous Democratic Socialist. Now this person, I don't know if they had a card saying I'm a Democratic Socialist, was MLK, Martin Luther King. That's right. He was what's considered a Democratic Socialist. If you do a dig into what he was talking about after the civil rights was signed in, you'll find out it was a lot of social justice stuff. So anyway, they recently had a convention in Chicago. The Democratic Socialist has declared war on what's called the family. Some of the things that they in their panel now, that I don't know how many days it was, but I actually looked at the schedule and they had, oh my God, I've been to conferences, but this, it was like it had to be 2 or 3 days of just groups and breakaway sessions and all that kind of stuff. Okay, now here's some of the stuff. If you ever go to, in fact, I challenge you to go look up the conference here. I looked it up online. You look it up online and see the topics that it's like a bonanza of woke ideology, all wrapped into a nice little package and presented to you in a politician. They declare war on the nuclear family. Declare war. In fact, let me go over some of the things that they came up with. Okay, they want to replace the parent bond between the parent and the child. I'll say that again. They want to replace. Now, what are you going to replace it with? Replace the bond between a parent and their child. That explains why they're after your children. They want to separate your children, and people like Newsom, they push these wild laws that they can do things to your child and persuade your children without you knowing. Well, anyway, that's part of their agenda. That's part of their platform now. Okay, what they want to replace it with is what they call the collective. The collective. Democratic Socialists want to replace mom and daddy with a collective. Do you know what that means? That translates into a government, some other people to raise your children. Okay, they said, now this is what they said about marriage. They said it's a form of prison. Marriage is a form of prison, especially for women. It locks them into some kind of prison. In fact, they also compared it to, guess what? Prostitution. Now, you have to hire demons to help you misunderstand and get the two confused, get marriage confused with prostitution. You really got to be deceived. God must have sent you a strong delusion at that point, to come up with that conclusion. Okay? And he said that prostitution and marriage is part of the same coin. This is the Democratic Socialists. They were having meeting on telling people how to do that. So when you hear, that's why we need to understand these new terms. We need to understand when a person said, "I'm a Democratic Socialist." what that means. Now, that person may not know the depths of it, but the people behind them and the force behind it and the demonic force, anything that's going to try to break. Well, what did the Bible say? Let no man break this apart, what God has put together. Marriage was the first institution before civilization. It was even civilization. There was an institution of marriage. Anyway, that's the second story. And finally, because this is the next story has a lot of moving parts, but it's got to do a little history here. What does Jack Phillips, Kim Davis, and the Little Sisters of the Poor all have in common? They were all persecuted during the Obama administration. Each one of these groups, before we had this term that's called lawfare, all of three of these, one was an organization, two were people who had businesses, and one was a county clerk, were sued because they didn't go down with the LGBT agenda. Jack Phillips didn't want to make a cake for a gay couple, and he got sued. And it's went on for almost 10 years, this battle, for a decade. Ever since the Obama administration, ever since then. And it just got settled last year. And the only reason it got settled is because the Supreme Court said they weren't fair. The way that they showed a little prejudice when approaching Jack. He didn't get off because it was wrong. The Little Sisters, they were sued during the Obama administration. There's the Little Sisters of the Poor, and I looked up the Little Sisters of the Poor, and I've seen some of their service. One is Medicare. They do care, medical care. They do for children and parents. They feed the poor, and they also do elderly care. These are the Little Sisters, Catholic nuns. It's a Catholic nun organization, and the Obama administration targeted them. And because the judges that he put in place and their attorneys and everything that went down, they got retargeted just recently, this year. Because guess why? They did not want to, how do you put it? Let's just put it this way. The administrations wanted them to push contraceptives. Nuns. We want you guys, your organization are not pushing, since you do Medicare, we consider that part of Medicare, you need to push contraceptives. And on top of that, you need, with this new court case, they need to push abortion inducing drugs. They need to have that somewhere in their organization if they're going to be Medicare, or if they're going to be doing medical care. Okay, this is the essence of lawfare. This is another way that they attack Christians. Now, let's get down to Kim Davis. Kim Davis was a county clerk, and she was jailed for 6 years because she would not pass out when old Burgerfield went down. She was a new Christian. I remember the story. She was a new Christian, and she didn't feel that they should force her to pass out marriage license to something that God didn't sanction. So they arrested her because she was a civil servant. Now, a lot of people would say she had the right. She didn't have the right because she was working as a civil servant. So if the law said that this was supposed to happen, that the law is now gay marriage, then you, as a county clerk, are to pass that out. But hold on. The plot thickens. Riddle me this, Batman. Who said it was law? It was never legislated. It was a decision by a court. It never got processed. It never went through due process. You hear that a lot. It never went through the due process. It never went through the Senate and the House. It was never voted and signed into law. No, It was the same thing. The same way that they passed the abortion, the same way they did that is the same way they passed this law. So they passed gay marriage. It was an opinion. It was an agreement at a court, but it was not law. But we act like it was law. They pushed it as if it was law. Before then, it was the states that decided. And I'm going to tell you right now, we had Proposition 8 here in California. We voted against it or for it. In other words, we voted, we didn't want gay marriage instituted into our Constitution. But later, Gavin Newsom and guess who? Kamala Harris went behind our backs, went through some other courts, and had our decision turned around. Dirty. So, this Kim Davis case just came back up. And this time it's going to the Supreme Court. But, to add a little spice to it, this could overturn Obergefell. Because her whole thing was, it was never law. Why were you forcing me something that wasn't law? And even then, our county hadn't agreed on it yet. We hadn't voted on it. So I don't have to hand this thing out. This is a fake document. Well, now it's going to the Supreme Court, and now they got to look at the whole thing. They have to examine gay marriage. Was it ever a thing? If the abortion got returned to the states, this needs to go back to the states. Now, there's some organizations that's already pushing this. The Southern Baptist Convention at their last convention, they just voted on a measure to try to overturn gay marriage because it was never that, along with some other things. There are a couple of states that have pushed this. We need to overturn gay marriage. Now, everything's not going to go away. That's when it's going to be a real battle. But that's what this Kim Davis thing is about. So as you start hearing it in about a month or so, you're going to hear more of it. You just got the inside scoop. Pastors, you need to tell your congregations or whatever. Bring it into a message, put it in a sermon, make a song about it.
I wrote a song about it, like the kid, here it go. Thank you very much.
Something. But now you are responsible now. So this ends the report. For more, you can go to our website and check it out. That's Sheepdog. We have two websites, Sheepdogs Union. We also have Empty Tomb Media, which is a news source, which we've been trying to keep updated. And you can go there and just get news, and you can get these news. We also have coming up what's called the drive-by. So if you have social media, you'll be getting these blasts, and on I believe they're arranging it so that there'll be emails of the blast. There'll be these new stories, so you can kind of check it out in your daily walk. It's very fast. Also, you can go to our YouTube channel now. Go to our YouTube channel, Sheepdogs Union, and check out some of we got other interviews. We have other categories. We have the Fear Not Show, which we're working on to make it into a complete podcast now. But right now we have little samples of that show, what it would look like as far as the interviews and the guests. Subscribe, like us, and share. Until next time, this is Mr. V. Hill. I'm out of here.